They're the kinds of things that you get with usually when you get a new home, they'll give you a home warranty, or you can spend hundreds on it. It's supposed to cover appliances, those kinds of things. Have you had a good experience with them? Probably not, from what we're seeing. A lot of people are not having them cover what they're supposed to be covering, especially with the AC problems that are going on right now. Looking at home warranties.
We're also talking about robocalls, robotexts. I'm sure you've heard about them. They've been around for a long time, but they're getting worse. And there's one specific text and call that people are using to try to scam people out of their money or info.
Yeah, it's like an old problem, but new tricks all the time with that. And we're looking at deeds, and we're looking at problems with real estate. Man, if you own something right now, or you're buying something right now, selling, buying, or just own, you could be having problems and not even know it. We have stories of vacant land being sold out from under people, at least trying to do that. People buying properties, losing money. We're going to look at that as well. I'm Joe Ducey. This is KJ, producer. We'll let Joe know. We're on the air on ABC15 every day, 6:30 and 4:30 p.m. Of course, at ABC15.com. And we're here actually to talk to you a little bit more time, talking one-on-one with consumers about some of the things we're seeing. We get about 240 complaints a week.
Yep.
241 is the new average. Complaints a week. We've got a 20-person volunteer team that works for people every day, and we don't want to see the complaints. We'd rather you learn from other people and maybe not fall into some of the traps that we see other people fall into. And that's kind of what we wanted to do here. So we call it What's Bugging You. We actually wanted to call it Live with Joe and KJ, but they didn't want any part of that. So we call it this. So if you've got some concerns about scams or things that we're talking about, please comment right here, and we'll try to answer some of your questions here. We've got about 20 minutes to do that. Let's first look at the home warranties. Yeah, we're having some issues with AC. It comes up every year with the summer. One of the problems with home warranties, before you actually spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on these things, is the kinds of companies that they're calling out. Some of the complaints that we're getting, and the reason that problems aren't actually being solved.
So I was out at a house with a woman. Her family hadn't had AC it ended up being about a month and a half. They had a home warranty, felt like they were covered, but they felt like the people that kept getting sent out by the home warranty, the contractor specialists kind of weren't necessarily up to snuff. So that's kind of one thing is, instead of, before you commit to a home warranty while you're shopping around, you kind of shop around for who are their vendors. Ask for a list, check their licenses, check their reviews, not just the home warranty reviews, but because those are the people that are actually going to come out and mess with your stuff.
Well, yeah, this is from Jasmine. Contractors were sent out and recommended a new unit because the unit is over 23 years old. That's the other problem, and let me get into that. We were then told that we would be assigned new contractors and haven't heard anything back from them. Every day it's like 83 degrees. So these people are left with, like baking in their houses because they can't get their AC units fixed. Also problems with refrigerators and stoves and those kinds of things. Now, there may be some good, I'd love to hear a good story about a home warranty, but I want to talk about the 23 years old. A lot of times what we're getting are these home warranty companies who want to repair a 23-year-old system instead of replace it. They'll do whatever they can, it seems, not to want to spend the money to replace it. But why repair a system that's
going to die in the next day?
Yeah,
anyways.
So that's one of the problems. So really look before you buy those things. Let's talk about robocalls.
So yeah, another thing we're talking about is robocalls, robotexts. So RoboKiller, it's kind of an app that blocks this, just put out their mid-year report. So it's from January through June. So we're going to play a game where Joe guesses how many robocalls Americans got from January to June.
Because all the U.S., not just Arizona.
All the U.S.
From
January to June, 6 months.
If I overguess, it wouldn't be cool because then you wouldn't have a surprise.
It's a lot.
How many robocalls did people complain about? 5 million.
31 billion. Billion robocalls.
Yeah, that sounded really dumb there.
It's even more. Robotext.
I won't even guess.
78 billion.
These are probably reported to them, I guess.
Yeah, these are ones that have been reported.
And these are the fake ones. So what are they trying to do? Get your money?
They're trying to get your money. They're actually trying to get you to click on a link, kind of get you to respond in any way. And so from RoboKiller, which is the one that put out this report, kind of tracking all the information, they said that the biggest text scam that they're seeing right now is fake delivery scams. The sad thing is, I actually just got one. I'm going to pull it up here to see if I can show you guys. And it's from Amazon. So a fake delivery from Amazon. Yeah. But it comes in, the morning, it kind of freaks you out that someone's trying to log in. Yeah. So the biggest thing that I saw was the punctuation was awful. Lots of spaces, bad punctuation. And then the link didn't even say Amazon. I didn't click the link, but you can kind of hover over to see what it is.
That's the key. So they basically want you to click these links because then they can either get into the system there.
Yeah,
right,
I don't know if they want access to my phone or me to respond.
You know, one of the other things they try to do too with emails and with text is try to make you feel or try to say that you bought something or that something has been renewed. I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you have, let me know. But yeah, if you see like, oh, your McAfee system or whatever is being renewed, or this came, you know, PayPal, you bought a whatever system, and you're like, I didn't do that. So you of course call the number that you have. It's usually a phone. In this case, you call them, and it's not actually PayPal or not, you know, anybody good. And then they try to say that they're going to refund you money, but the way to do that is to get into your bank account. Then they refund you too much money, it looks like, in your bank account.
And say, oh and no, you pay us back.
Right, and then you feel bad. You're like, oh wow, it looks like they gave me 15,000. They only owed me 500. You know, so now they want some of that money back, and it ends up into the whole system. Anyway, all right. The other thing we're going to talk about is the deeds and the deeds properties. Yeah, about home real estate. We have a person who, man, a couple retired from, I think they're from, anyway, out of the country, but they've been here for like 25 years. They wanted to buy a new house, put all their, everything was set. They went to, you know, the proper realtor, the title company, all this stuff. And then at the last minute, the day they're supposed to close, I guess, they're supposed to send their escrow money. They get a sheet and it has all the appropriate people on it and an escrow link. And they click it and they send the money. They lost $179,000. So they lost their life savings there. They had to move into a place that they're renting right now. And it's because there was some fake escrow. And the only way you could tell that it was different, that it may not be legitimate, is that the email came from the realtor's name actually at Gmail instead of at the company name. So you really have to be careful about these escrows. We're still looking into this, trying to find out how they were actually able to set up an escrow account at a bank and get these people's money. And so, you know, I don't think we're going to be able to get it back, but we're trying to do something there. Also have some complaints about vacant land. We're out in Scottsdale, talked to a guy who had an acre of land, and suddenly found people were calling. It's like, you know, putting money down on it. He's like, I'm not selling this. This is for my retirement. You know, we don't have it for sale. And yet 2 people went through title companies, luckily, and they found out that, you know, that it wasn't for sale. Somebody would just put it up for sale and they left their information. And if people hadn't checked, they hadn't gone to title companies, the buyers would have lost their money. If buyers said, it's a good deal. Let's go to a title company and screw things up.
Just pay it.
Let's just pay it. They would have lost their money because it isn't for sale. Yeah. So we're seeing those. And we wanted to bring in Susan Nicholson. She's Commissioner Susan Nicholson with the Arizona Department of Real Estate. She's joining us now because this has become a big deal. And I know, Susan, you were saying not just here, you know, in Maricopa County or in Arizona, but around the country, real estate fraud.
Yeah, you touched on 2 areas of fraud that are pretty common in real estate transactions. So the first one, that link that you get, that wire instruction email that you get that you think your real estate agent is sending to you. So what consumers need to know is a real estate agent is never going to send you wiring instructions. That's going to come from a title company. And what will happen is a criminal is going to realize that you put your house up for sale. And they're going to try and breach into somebody in that transaction, whether it's an escrow officer or a lender or a real estate licensee. They want to get into that email transaction communication to be able to gather data and information to strike and try and commit their crime. And they're going to send you fraudulent wire instructions for your down payment and your closing costs. And gosh forbid, like the people that contacted you that were buying it all cash, because your final wire transfer to the escrow company is certainly going to be that full cash payment for that property you're buying. And so what consumers need to understand is you can protect yourself with a simple phone call. In Arizona, on your purchase agreement, it spells out who your escrow officer is in that purchase contract with a phone number. And when you get an email from anybody who is saying, send me money, then that's when you need to pull out that copy of your contract and slow down just for a second, pick up the phone, call the escrow officer. You have their phone number.
That's
you make that outbound.
Yeah,
Yep.
because a lot of this stuff is done in writing, right? You're not talking to anybody. They don't want to talk to you. They may not even be in this country,
That's right.
And so by following up with a phone call and saying, "Did you do this? Is this the right one? Am I on the right page here?" That's key.
Did you send me? It will be that escrow officer that's going to ask you for that final wire transfer to get this deal done, or that cashier's check. And you have that information in your possession as the buyer of the piece of property. You really want to say, please verify the account details that I have received, because it is possible the escrow officer did send you wire transfer information. You don't want to just say, did you send me wire transfer information? Because the timing, these are sophisticated criminals. The timing can be very precise, where they think, yes, we did send you those, because you're in a day to two of close of escrow. You need to verify the account details, and you need to make the outbound call.
I kind of know the answer to this. I'm sure. I don't think you know where these people are coming from, but how do you think they get? Any idea about how they get access? How would anybody know that I've got a transaction going on involving a new house?
With that real estate company, with that.
Yeah, and that sales agent. I mean, you probably don't know these answers, but I'm just throwing it out there.
We do know. We do know. It's done through hacking, and so. The weakest level of the link is always the human beings that are involved, it seems, right? And you have sophisticated people in internet crimes that are hacking into real estate transactions. So there's some information that's public that tips them off. You have your house for sale. It is advertised everywhere possible to expose your property to the biggest audience of buyers that are out there to get the best price and terms for your home. Well, you've just basically said to a criminal, there's going to be money transferred with regard to this property. It's a known factor as who the real estate licensee is, because there's a sign in your front yard. It says, this is the person selling your house. Or in those online advertisements, those brokers have to display who they are. And then now you have your target. The hackers have their targets. So this isn't an unsophisticated crime, but it's something that the people of Arizona, the people across the nation, can easily prevent with an outbound phone call and a verification of those wire transfer details.
What have you guys kind of seen now, about maybe people who aren't putting the vacant lands, who aren't actually putting their property up for sale? And I know we've talked about vacant lands, but are there other, recently deceased residents who's maybe going through kind of title transition? But what are kind of the properties that might be most vulnerable that people should keep an extra eye out for?
So you guys are talking about two different types of real estate crimes. The first one is wire transfer, wire fraud. And wire fraud can happen in every single transaction very easily. It's an internet crime, a hacker involved. There's no property transaction that's safe, and every person needs to verify their wire transfer details before they send money. Every buyer needs to take that step. The second crime that you're talking about is what we call deed fraud. The American Land Title Association is very active in trying to prevent deed fraud and educate not only the industry's licensees, but also the public. And lawmakers have started to take very proactive steps to make Arizona not the hospitable place for these types of criminals. But in essence, what happens is somebody steals the identity of a seller. They are stealing the identity of the landowner, creating false identification, contacting real estate licensees and saying, I want to sell my land or I want to sell my house. So it would be a mistake to think that this is only happening with regard to vacant land. We actually know of a house that was stolen by a criminal who was brought to justice by the Maricopa County prosecutors.
Just taking it.
To them.
It went through?
It went through. It absolutely went through.
So is it because the title company did the title company not do its job, or did they not have a title company involved, or do you know?
It's identity theft. So you have to remember the seller's identity has been stolen. They're going through the process, but they've stolen the seller's identity. So, it is much more of a complicated crime. So where wire transfer is going to happen, wire fraud is happening at the very end of a real estate transaction to steal that buyer's money. Deed fraud is happening from the very beginning, before the listing is even put in there. And there are some signs, right? If you all of a sudden get a call as a real estate licensee, I want to sell my house. You can underprice it. I don't care what you charge. Sell it fast, sell it for cash. I mean, nobody's that lucky. If you are, play the Arizona lottery. Like, it's just, that's not the way real estate works. And I can tell you, this industry, my licensees, the title and escrow companies, everybody is on high alert because no one wants to help facilitate these types of, crimes happening in Arizona. So, deed fraud is a big one. It is a sophisticated crime where identity theft is there. Real estate licensees are very much doing their part. They're checking identification. They're utilizing other sources to try and authenticate that they are working with bona fide sellers of the property. Escrow officers are doing very much the same. Everybody is now paying attention because this is far more common than we wish it were. If you're a landowner, you own vacant land somewhere, I can't strongly enough encourage you. I think you already did a segment on it. Maricopa County has the ability that you register. I believe Pima County does, and the other 13 counties will be coming into line with those sort of systems where you can register with the county, and anytime something is recorded against your name, you can get a notification to know that you've got a problem coming. And then, other than that, you want to make sure you have the right type of title insurance. So call your title insurance provider. It's in your settlement documentation. Make sure that you have that extended coverage, especially if your home is vacant or you have a vacation rental where there's not an owner occupant that's there to say, hey, why are you looking in my windows, right?
Yeah.
So owner occupant, a lot harder to steal, but investment properties, vacant homes, houses in probate, and vacant land are much easier targets. So don't make yourself.
That has been great information. Really, I mean, that's just really good because we're seeing a lot of these complaints coming into us right now. And I'd rather not see the complaints and rather have people not have the problems. I'm going to keep you on here for a second. You may not have anything to say about this, but we got a complaint from Carolyn Dunn Wessenmo. And she talks about an HOA. And the only thing I know about the real estate department is that I think there's an HOA component to it where there's a hearing and all. But this says HOA maintains perimeter walls, but they are charging homeowners. What do you do? They're stating walls are entirely on homeowners' lots while they're dividing lines. So she's got concerns about that, repairs and things. Is that the kind of thing that you can take to the HOA hearing? This isn't something I told you I'd talk to you about.
It's okay. I can talk about this too.
but HOAs, there is something they can do through your office, correct?
There is, yeah. So we do handle HOA complaints. And what I can say for Carol, who's typed into you, is you really need to familiarize yourself with the CC&Rs. Those governing documents, the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, bylaws of your community, design guidelines. It's going to spell out who is responsible for what. And if it will clearly define common area walls versus owner walls, 50-50 ownership. It's all supposed to be spelled out inside those governing documents. If your HOA management company is doing something contrary to those governing documents, then that's when you would want to bring forward a complaint. You would file it here at the Department of Real Estate. We would make sure you have everything that you need inside your file. We'll send it over to the Office of Administrative Hearings, and an administrative law judge will give a ruling.
Okay, so that is something they could do. Now, is there a cost for that? Do you know?
There is. It's $500.
$500. Okay, and can you get that back if you win? Maybe.
Yeah, usually when I do see that the complainant wins, I do see that the administrative law judge orders that the cost of the hearing be paid back to the complainant. So,
all right. So Abby wants to know, why are they allowing drug transactions to go on? I won't ask you that, Susan. I don't have the answer for that, Abby. No. Home builder not finishing warranty work. That's another concern. I'm sorry, Matt. Yeah, I think the Register of Contractors is something you should probably, the ROC should be able to look at that. And if you want to write us at joe@abc15.com, you can write a complaint and we'll try to help you with that as well. I think that's good. So I think we're right about our time limit. Susan Nicholson, Commissioner for the Arizona Department of Real Estate, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Thanks for all your advice. And all of you, we'll be back another day with this. And you can also join us any weekday, ABC 15 at 6:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. All right, and ABC15.com at any time. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.